speaking of lights bright, speaking of only one game on, this past Monday night, I had a smile from ear to ear when I watched the 49ers go down yet again. It was just a beautiful sight to see. It's something that I wish it would be 3 straight losses, but we're not going to get into that. But to see these 2 straight losses is a wonderful thing. Debo being out definitely hurt them, but McCaffrey, I mean, he was still in there. So, I mean, what's the excuse?
They can't run the ball the whole time. And Ayuk is mid. When you don't have Debo to take a factor away, Ayuk becomes mid. Ayuk is not a good enough receiver, in my personal opinion, to flourish without somebody else to take the light off. And once again, this is what week 2 without Debo, and we've seen it. Even with Kittle there, there's still not enough for you to break out because Kittle is so iffy in the way that Brock Purdy plays. But shout out to Brock Purdy for helping me get through my fantasy league and winning that. Shout out to that. That L went to you, right? El Jefe? Question mark? Brock Purdy helped me get that dub on you, right? No. Besides the point. But it's just
Yikes.
But it's just one of those situations where, like, looking back, you kind of gotta think and, like, really, what else can you do and how else to maneuver when we're not getting things done on the ground? Christian McCaffrey can run the ball all the time, realistically, but how often is he going to get further and further as far as you want him to get when you're not being able to be diverse with the ball? Like, because what? Christian McCaffrey had what last week? Do you know? TG? Actually, hold on. I can tell you. Christian McCaffrey had 15 carries last week. 15 carries for 45 yards, average of 3, and they still had a touchdown. So, once again, if you look at that and then breaking down, Kittle and Ayuk both had 5 receptions. Kittle had 78 yards. Ayuk had 57. Like, when you play against a team like that, and for the fact of the matter, you sitting here, and then also, since we were talking about San Fran's defense, the fact that Jordan Addison had 7 receptions for 123 yards and 2 touchdowns on San Fran defense without Justin Jefferson playing is very concerning to me.
I was actually just having a conversation earlier about San Francisco. Well, more specifically, Fred Warner being the best defensive player in the NFL, not named TJ Watt. Brock Purdy put them in a bad situation with the 2 interceptions, obviously. Anytime you play like that, with Brock Purdy not being one of those players that does turn the ball over often, he's pretty safe with the ball and playing in the system that he does play in. You put a team in a situation that's not really used to being in that situation. You kind of have to react to adversity, and these guys, from what it seemed like, just couldn't really necessarily react to it. And Christian McCaffrey coming back from injury, or dealing with the injury. We're saying, wait, Debo didn't play because I actually didn't watch that game. I tried to stay away from San Francisco.
What, last night?
Yeah.
No, Debo's been out. Debo was out.
So Debo's still out. Yeah, so I mean, even though Debo isn't the primary target anymore because Brandon Ayuk is, when you take somebody off the field as dynamic as Debo Samuel, it as we are seeing, it's hurting Brock Purdy and that system. So, and Christian McCaffrey also put the ball on the ground, fumbled and lost. They didn't. Minnesota recovers the ball. So, I think these turnovers are really hurting San Francisco. They're putting teams in positions to, score quickly on the San Francisco defense. That is it's a very daunting task to do, but you turn the ball over on short field, and most NFL teams are all professionals at the end of the day. So at some point, they're going to strike gold. So I don't know what San Francisco is going to do, especially now with Brock Purdy and concussion protocol. Again, going back to how I feel, sometimes you just got to hit the quarterback.
They're going to be straight.
They'll be straight down the road, but
they got Sam Darnold coming off the bench. I feel like it's sweet.
Sam Darnold is not the guy.
Yeah, I'm not impressed. I'm just not impressed. Not impressed whatsoever.
But I mean, to be fair, he can fill the role that they need. But they're going up against Cincinnati. Cincinnati's starting to click right now. So,
but just I
don't see him.
Even going back, looking at Debo, like Debo hasn't had a full game since he played Jaw. And even when he played Jaw, he only had 3 receptions for 55 yards. And then going back and looking at last year's Debo, around this time, he was averaging just about over 100 yards a game. But once again, that's also without Christian McCaffrey. So adding Christian McCaffrey changed the dynamic of how their offense is ran now, which I feel like is, instead of adding Christian McCaffrey to the offense that they were that already were running, I feel like they've changed it to cater around Christian, which is the same thing that the Panthers did, and that's why you never had DJ Moore getting the ball when he was supposed to be getting the ball. Seems like they're taking away less from the receivers than what you would expect them to be as far as how they were last year, in my personal opinion. Because, like, even still, they do move the ball quite a few receptions. Like I said, 18 team receptions on the ground, 41 touches on the ground as a total. Like, it varies from week to week, but even still, like, looking back, Debo's at the lower percentage of majority of all of this compared to where he was at last year. And I feel like it's also changing the offensive format on how things are being ran over there, which I feel like is what's hurting them currently.
Yeah, well, we'll see what ends up happening with the 49ers and Brock getting in concussion protocol. I don't think that's any good for them. That's a spell of misery.
I mean,
But
Sam's right. They'll be fine. There's not going to really be any shortcomings towards the end of the season once the playoffs.
I mean,
set.
they'll still win the division. And I just think right now it might be a little shaky if you have Sam Darnold at quarterback. I don't think he's that great. And if you still have Debo out, do you really expect him to go out and get a win? Especially against the Bengals. I mean,
Sam Darnold and Brock Purdy are two different quarterbacks. Sam Darnold's a quarterback that tends to rely more on his tight ends, versus Brock Purdy tends to rely more on his slot receivers. So
I will say this. After this game, they have a bye week, so I could definitely see them just going ahead, letting Debo rest this week, letting Brock sit out this week. I could definitely even see them go ahead and say, McCaffrey, sit this one out just because we got a bye week next week. Go ahead, drop this game and come back strong after the bye week. I could see
they just lost 2 straight. Isn't this week a divisional game too? Who do they play this week?
No, they play the Bengals.
Play the Bengals. But
I'm saying
after
the bye week,
McCaffrey has a streak. McCaffrey has a streak going. He has a touchdown streak going.
After the bye week, they play the Jags, the Bucks, the Seahawks. They're gonna go on a straight up win streak after that, regardless. Yeah, but in my eyes,
they're not gonna rest. They're not resting McCaffrey. You need McCaffrey.
I mean,
yeah, he's still in the streak.
No, he's not. Oh yeah, he is.
No, he's still on the streak.
No, he's not.
He hasn't.
He scored a touchdown.
No, he didn't score against Minnesota. He didn't score against Cleveland.
He had a reception touchdown.
Yes, he did.
Is it receptions included in that as well?
It's any
No, it's just touchdown. Yeah,
it's just he scored a touchdown in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, a receiving or rushing touchdown. Yeah, it's just him just getting a touchdown. Just the player. That's what they're talking about right now. I forgot how long it's been, but it's definitely been over a season at this point. I mean, it's an incredible.
I don't see it. What am I missing?
I'm pretty sure he's gotten one every week at this point.
Hold on, I'm checking. You said the Browns, it was a receiving touchdown, full box score. Yes. Okay, you're right. Yeah. 3 receptions, 9 yards, 1 TD. Okay. Yeah. So it was a pop pass.
He scored a touchdown in 16 straight games.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, pretty much almost a full season.
So yeah,
which is crazy.
He'll continue to play until he doesn't score. No, I'm just saying I'm pretty sure you get bread for that. When you get bread when you beat certain accolades, if I'm correct, it's a bonus on your check. If I'm not wrong.
Yeah, and apparently if you kept betting for him to score at any time touchdown, you would have made 480,000 during this streak. If you kept like rolling over the money that you won on each bet, you'd have made $480,000.
Wow,
that's crazy. Well,
I would have pulled out at 240. See you.
Yeah, that's crazy information.
Part is, Crazy part is the 1 week somebody going to bet, or the 1 week I would bet, he's not going to score. So I'm staying
I
away
was,
from it.
you know, I was gonna say that, but I'm just gonna. I don't want to put that. I don't want to put that in the air.
You
But
gotta wait till the odds are nuts and then just say let go and let God.
I'm not betting anymore ever.
yikes, that's a crazy thing to say. Ever? That's
I'm
that's
not
a
entertaining
that's a
him
long
anymore.
look. That's a long time.
Yeah, I know how I feel.
All right. Well, you know, it is what it is. Maybe I just say this: never say never. Just never say never.
I will never say never. I will fight. I will fight forever.